All right, so looking at doing a short ride. And this ride won't go up on the internet. I did not expect it to, at least not the ride in whole. It turns out that sometimes when I go on a ride, something interesting happens. So I just record them just in case this happens to be the one time that something interesting is going to happen. But I don't know anything specifically interesting that should happen today, so we will just record everything just in case. Try not to bring up any crazy subjects that I'll have to say, oh, I probably should put that on the internet. But if I do, we'll end up cutting portions of this and attaching it to another video. I have gotten my, I'm only coming with one camera today. If I only go with one camera and one microphone, I can do this get my prep done in about 30 minutes. Normally it takes an hour, so I have to do everything in preparation for a ride that I plan to put up on the internet. Of course, I have pre-planning that I have to do because I pre-plan my rides where I go, and most of the time I put it on the Garmin so that it can help me in my directions. Since I've been riding for a year now, I have some memory of what the area is like, and therefore frequently I don't need the Garmin to help me out. But I leave it running anyway, so that in case I get lost, I can follow it back to civilization. Hello there. So, my trip for the most part today will be the 5-mile route that I take, 5 to 6 miles. It's not really 5. It's more than 5 usually. Most of the time it's less than 6 though. And that's just most of the time. Sometimes I get carried away and may go 10. But I really don't expect to tonight because the time I got started, it'll be dark before an hour. And if I go 10 miles, that's usually an hour to do that. So I don't expect to do 10 miles, just because I don't want to be riding around in the dark. Now we're talking about how long it takes me to get ready. Since I only have to get the one battery in my GoPro, and I only have to verify that my microphone is working, one microphone, and I know at this time I don't have to worry about. I didn't worry about doing any pre-check on my bike because last time I rode, it was 5-6 miles. It was a couple of days ago, and I didn't notice any issues during that period of time. So today I skipped all my bike checks. I didn't check the spokes, didn't check for whether I need oiling or not, didn't check the pressures in the tires. I didn't check anything. I didn't check to see if the batteries in the light was working, the batteries in the front light or the rear light were charged. They probably are, but I didn't check it. So when you go through your check, part of the reasons you go through your check is that if you have any type of problems, you can solve them. You hope you can solve them before you head out. But if you don't solve them before you head out, you can solve them right then. Or if you have the problem when you're out, you have the necessary equipment and tools in order to get you out of that problem. So in this case, I have spare battery. It's hopefully charged. I have no idea, but probably is. I have, air pump that really does need to be charged, but is probably good enough for 1 or 2 extra charges still. I need to remember when I get back that I need to charge my my battery on the because otherwise it'll just be, I'll just be creating major trouble for myself, and I like to avoid major trouble. I just got to remember. Of course, memory is not something that's very strong for me anymore. It used to be halfway decent, but that's used to be. That's not a current thing. My current thing now is that I celebrate remembering things, all the time, because I forget a lot of things. So when I finally remember something, I got to celebrate it. I cheer usually, and I do actual cheers. I congratulate myself, tell myself what a great person I am. But that's only if I remember. If I forget, it's usually something opposite of that, something that's not encouraging for myself. I shouldn't do that. People tell me that the way in order to help improve yourself is to compliment yourself when you do something good and move on when you do something bad. Yeah, I have a tough time with that moving on part. It served me well when I was younger, when I could remember everything and had very little failures. But failures are beginning to mount up. So if I concentrate on my failures, that's going to not be a good thing for me. So I need to concentrate not on my failures. I really enjoy, for the most part, riding my bicycle in a lot of different places. That's usually a fun thing for me to do. So even though this route here that I take today is going to be 5-ish miles, I think it's very important to do. You need a bit of exercise not every single day. You need a bit of exercise frequently in order to maintain your overall health and well-being. For some people, that's harder to do things that are exercise, especially as you get older and different things break down and quit working. That's the reason something like an e-bike is so fantastic, is it allows people with several types of disabilities to still be able to get out and about. Now, you're going to have troubles if you can't maintain your balance. You're going to need to be somebody that maintains your balance. So hopefully you can find something else to exercise if you have that particular issue. Right now, that is not an issue I have. I have plenty of issues, but I don't have that one. So the issues I have all allow me to ride an e-bike. And the benefits you get from riding the e-bike are just tremendous. You pretty much need exercise. I usually get at least 30 minutes of exercise every time I go riding on my e-bike. And frequently I get, up to an hour and a half. Is not unheard of. For most of my videos that I put up, it's an hour and 15 to an hour and 20-minute ride. Probably 90% of the videos I put up. And then I cut the video down to about 45 to 50 minutes. Because on any ride, there are things that are cuttable. So I try to cut those things out, and I try to cut out areas in which, like if I'm just sitting around waiting to recover from maybe a quick ride that I did where I was climbing a hill really strongly, so I had to pull off on the side and try to recover a little bit before I continue on. Or I can hear that my bag shifted slightly, going over some bumps. I cut those out. We don't have those in there. I've talked to people. If I'm on trails, I talk to people all the time. I cut almost all of those out. I don't cut them all out. Sometimes they provide information that's kind of helpful. but I cut out most of them because, yeah, that it's probably not. People probably don't want to be in there, and I'm trying to do more of the e-bike riding and not e-bike conversations. He looks way too interested. Yeah, way too interested. Yeah, frequently I comments. I've talked to several people that have dogs because some of the dogs are extremely friendly. That one, I didn't trust him as being friendly. He didn't seem like to be. Pit bulls, number one, can knock me over, and trying to recover from that, and while fighting off a pit bull is not something to look forward to. So pit bulls on a leash in which the owner seems to be having trouble holding the dog does not give me encouragement. Pit bulls in which they just stand there and watch you because the owner has trained a pit bull not to attack a bicycle or anybody else, they don't worry me. Those pit bulls are under control of their owner. And as long as I don't tick off the owner, I'm fine. The pit bull we just passed was a pit bull who the owner does not have control over. And the pit bull is stronger than the owner. So that's a more dangerous situation. The advantage is that as a bike rider, I'm by there pretty quick. So it's less dangerous because I can get by. Also, because I'm on the bike, if I can avoid getting hit by them to start with, I can probably outrun them. Probably. You know, I really don't know how fast a pit bull runs. I never had one chase me down the street. Their legs aren't that big, so I don't think they can run like a German Shepherd. I don't really know. Like I said, it's not something I had to deal with yet. That's one thing. As the sun's going down here, you can the amount of insects that start yelling show up. Early morning rides and late rides, a lot of chirping going on. Got 2 cars passing now. That's not, usually don't have that many. I usually turn off this road. Probably 80% of the time I turn off the road. Why did that make that noise? Second car behind me ended up pulling into a driveway. I'm not sure why that vehicle made that noise. I didn't see anything that ran over, but yeah, I think we'll turn here on this one. All right, so I don't think I ever get through describing getting ready. So I started this trip, planning to hit this trip around 6:30. So we were out by 7. So that's 30 minutes preparation. So the amount of time that I'm driving, yeah, I don't want it to be a whole lot of time. Since it's, there seems to be a lot of people heading on their way home right now. Usually I don't have this many people that I've run into so far driving through neighborhoods. I've run into maybe 15, 20 cars so far that are moving. So while I did my quick check just to find out if I was ready to go or not, I looked at my tires. I didn't try to do anything with them. So that quick cursory looked like my tires were pumped well enough. That's one of the advantages of an e-bike too, that even if your tires were down to 12 psi, you are still not having to pedal any harder to push it through, because the battery has to do the extra work. You don't have to do the extra work. Or if I'm doing extra work, I never noticed. It always seems like it's the same amount of work, whether I'm at 20 psi, 25 psi, or 13, 14 psi. They all seem that I'm doing the same amount of work. And I assume because of the extra traction on the road, that since don't feel like I'm doing extra work, that the battery's taking up the slack. Now, in this case, I haven't been doing other videos recently because I just don't have the time. The weather's been great, so you couldn't have asked for better weather not to do videos, just that I don't have time. Now you sit back and you say, well, how much time could it possibly take? I mean, you go ride for an hour, you put your video in, and then it's done. But it's not like that at all. You have to remember, I have about an hour and 15 minutes, let's just say, a video that I have to cut down. I have multiple sources that my audio's in. The audio's on my GoPro, and the audio's is on the DJ mic, mini mic. So and they have to be synced up. Also, I have a second GoPro that also has a mic that may or may not have something that needs to be synced up. But the video does need to be synced up. Let's see, I probably should go down. All right, let me wait for this car to go by. So the syncing up process of the three different sources takes a bit of time. And then after you sync it up, you have to cut it down to 45 to 50 minutes or so. So as I try to cut it down, and I have to watch an hour and 15-minute video. And then I have to decide where the cuts need to be made. So I have to go back and watch an hour and 15-minute video as I go through and do the cuts. So already I'm looking at two and a half hours, and I haven't even started much of my process. So once I do the initial cuts, I then have to see how long it still is, because I try to do the initial cuts to just eliminate things such as conversations with other people, times in which I'm not moving, like I stop to do something. So I try to remove those things, and so if I go through the second period is when I'm cutting out those sections. I have already verified that the cameras from the two camera lenses I have are synced up, and I've already verified that, but so I may be 3 hours into it by the time I'm starting my third pass. And the third pass, its main purpose, and I don't think I want to go out there today, so let me turn back around. So the third pass is where I'm trying to do length. I'm trying to determine its length. Do I need to cut more, or can what I've cut so far survive? Usually it can't survive, but I still have to watch what's left. Let's say what was left was an hour long. So I still have an hour I have to go through and look at to see what's there, and if I can cut any more, or should I cut anything more? Can I cut it and still maintain like the flow? So I don't know that until after I look at it for the third time. So now I've looked at it third time. I made more edits. So let's just say that this was one of the times that I've made it all the way through to the end with only 3 viewings, which would be unusual. Usually I have a 4th one too, because I'm trying to narrow it down even more. So some of the things that I thought that maybe I need to cut, I'll go back and look to see if I could cut it and still seem like the flow of the video would continue, to make it a little bit shorter, and still allow people to see, get a decent view of where I'm riding. Oh. Okay, so this is not ideal. All right, so we're going to try to mosey along here. No cars are coming behind me, so it looks like we're working it out okay. Still no cars behind me, so I guess that worked out all right. Let's get this down slower. So, all right, so that gives me, in my 4th time, so, I could be looking at 5 hours now for this one video. So now I have it done, so I say, well, let's just say I have it done. I sometimes go back and try to edit some things where I mispronounce words, and try to maybe cut out the whole scene where I mispronounce words if it can still make sense. Sometimes I have to leave it in there. But I go back and look again to see if I can. So then it comes time to compiling. So you start compiling. Now, once you start compiling, you specifically are not doing anything. The computer's doing stuff. In my case, it frequently takes over my computer for several hours as it does its compiling. That means what I normally do on my computer, I can't normally do during the compilation stage. So that means I got to go find something else to do. Usually I decide it's time to eat, and I go cook me something. Because I got to take up time. But cooking and eating what you cook is a 30-minute to 50-minute process. So, yeah, then I have to usually read a book or something else, trying to do something to take up time during the compilation. Now, I don't walk away during the compilation because I want to start the upload just as soon as I can. The upload is like an 8 to 10 hour process. Now, I do get my computer back during the upload process because I haven't ever noticed that me doing things on my computer creates issues with the upload. So I don't think it does, although could be wrong. It might create all sorts of problems. But I haven't noticed the problem, so if I don't notice it, it's not good enough for me to worry about. So I can then get back on the computer and do things that I normally do on my computer while the upload processing is happening. One of the things that I do frequently during the upload process, which might interfere with the upload process, I'm not sure, is I watch the video that I'm uploading. I watch the video that I'm uploading that in case I pick the wrong video, I'll know it fairly quickly and cancel the upload. Number 2, I want to find out if what I think I've put on my video is what's actually on there. It turns out that probably about 1 out of 10 times, it's not. Like I forgot, when editing, I frequently turned off the sound and I turned off the video in order to do some edits to eliminate, because I got 2 cameras, so you have to turn one of them off in order to see the second one. And when I get finished editing, I have to go back and turn that camera back on, otherwise it doesn't show anything. So like 1 out of 10 times, I forgot to turn something back on. Maybe audio, maybe a video clip, but something I forgot to turn back on. Or a thing that I planned to edit, I forgot to edit, and it's still in the video. Sometimes it's so frustrating because everything takes so much time that I just leave the unedited, the mistake in the video because I don't want to spend the time required to go back to editing, and eliminate that, go back to compiling, and then restart the upload. I just don't want to do all that. It's just too time consuming, so I just forget it. So eventually that either the first time I look at it, while it's uploading, I find out that I make mistakes, so I have to correct it and I have to go back, or I find out it's okay, and so I let it finishing uploaded. Well, since it's going to take so long, now I have to do other things. So we come back to it like the next day, because pretty much if it's going to take 10, 12 hours, it's going to be the next day, after editing for 5 or 6 hours and then uploading for 10 hours. You're pretty much into another day. So the next day, in the morning, if the video has uploaded and has actually finished being processed by YouTube, I then watch to find out what I actually uploaded and what YouTube's planning on showing to people. So now I got another hour that I had to watch a video. And so basically this, what I'm saying is that just because I have taken a ride, which right now I have done, and I have 2 videos that I can edit and put up on YouTube, I just don't have the time. I can't find the time in the day in order to spend that much time working on uploading a video. So therefore I don't. I just don't spend the time, and therefore y'all don't get a video, just because I'm not willing to sacrifice that time where I could be doing something else to get ready to do the upload. So when I originally started this, my purpose was to show new people what the e-bike experience would be like. I feel as if I have accomplished that by the end of the year. By the time December showed up, December 2022, that I had accomplished that goal. And therefore, I didn't really have a goal for 2023. There wasn't anything that I needed to achieve, that I wanted to achieve in 2023. So I'm less motivated now to get something up, because I don't know what somebody would want in order to be helpful to them. I've had a few videos where I've talked about various topics that I found interesting, but those are just things I found interesting. I don't know if anybody else found interesting. I do like telling some of my stories about some experiences that I've run across with other people. That's always been a little bit interesting for me to talk about. But I don't do that often, so that does not a motivating factor to get a video out. So I really don't have any good motivation factors to spend 5 to 6 hours after I've ridden my bike. Not to mention the hour before I ride my bike that I wouldn't have if I wasn't doing videos. So I'm just telling you all this, that it's a fairly complicated process to get all the videos ready, uploaded, based on the way I do them. Now, I'm sure other people have different means, but this is the means I take and the time it takes. So anyway, I'll see everybody next time I do a video, which, who knows?